sunshine. Ooh, this is hot. So I got me a Happy Meal with some coffee. Where did it go? So I like to take a little of protein. Why does my hair look so good right now? 1 minute it falls like it's, you see how this side is kind of like flipped out, and then it's got this layer that kind of turns into a side bang. That's how it's supposed to look when you style it. It's supposed to be like some 70s, but it still has some length, and it's just a ton of layers. This side never wants to act right. It could be that I kind of that side. Well, now it's acting right. Now it's flipping right. I need to style it more. I just don't really want to put hot tools in my hair, and I've been on this more of a natural, you know, I'm in my natural girl era. I'm adding this to my black coffee. I'm actually excited. I've been cleaning. I went and had to clean a bunch of stuff out. Just trash, and I have another bag down there. I wanted to organize everything. I haven't organized since I moved back in. Hot damn. Where's my cigarette? They go hand in hand. Good morning, good morning. Oh, I got up at 7. I got up at 7. I've been working. I don't know. It's something about getting older. I don't know if it happens to everybody, but I know that when I got past like 30, my body just naturally started waking up. I can't sleep until 10 or 11 or, God, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If that happens, I feel like I've wasted the whole day. I feel like internally I'm punishing myself for sleeping that late. It eats me up mentally that I woke up that late. I ever wake up that late, and it's very rare. Now, back when I was dancing, it messed my whole day up. Another reason I wanted to get out of dancing, because it would mess my whole schedule up. I just like to get up early, get things done. Even if I'm just laying around the house, which I have been today, I just feel like I'm getting something done. Let's see here. What was I looking up? Oh. Washing, ton, 10, C. I don't think that's how you spell that. I don't think that's it. I'm gonna need you to come in clutch, Google. Where's my Happy Meal in Irvine? What is this? I literally just set everything up. I drove around the building to get my Happy Meal. Let's pray I got a new crock. I would like to have all the Crocs. Let's see which one this is. Sorry, it's got fry. Oh, and while I was there, I asked the guy for mayonnaise for my tuna and hot mustard for my oyster and crackers. So I have extras of those now. I just got a hamburger, no cheese, extra pickle, extra onion, and extra fries. And a black coffee. I hope it's not the same one. But if it is, it's okay. It's so cute. It opens up like a little shoebox, like a designer shoebox. And it even has the little paper inside. Oh, I think it's the same one. It's even got stickers. Is it different? No, this one's different. This is just a McDonald's one. Different. I'll show you the other one too. These are actually some of the coolest, and it's made by Croc. It says Croc on it. These are some of the coolest. Oh, I also had to cut my nails. I like tucked the nail clipper to them and just cut them really short. They were so long. I need to come up with a nail plan for myself now that my nails grow long and pretty and I don't bite my nails anymore. I bit my nails for my whole life. This is so cute. It's adorable. It's a little chain. It's got the sport mode or the lazy fit. So adorable. Now that I have two, I have a pair. Word of advice, don't hike long my Crocs. It's just not it. I didn't want to wear my cowboy boots because I figured those would be worse. I don't know. Where's the other one? Hell, at this rate, It's so adorable. At this rate, I'm going to have the whole collection. That's the other one. Our eyes were googly. How cool would it be if they were googly eyes? But it's still awesome. Well, cool. Now I got twins. They never have cool toys anymore. That's one of the downsides of... Oh, their packages are a little different, too. Little boxes are a little different. I think they're adorable when the little numbers on them. It's just many cute little items. We'll keep those for somebody's kid. Okay, my burger. Ooh, it feels like it's got something on it, honey. Hell yeah. And got some weight to it. Still only 2 pickles, but it's okay. They always do me dirty. I actually woke up hungry. But I drank protein and then some water. I went to the bathroom to brush my teeth and wash my face. And then I went to the park. It's not a nice park. It's literally not even a park. It's like some woods next to a river. And it says park, but it doesn't have the amenities of a park. But it's okay. It's still peaceful. The birds were chirping. The squirrels were squirreling. No napkin. Not a nair square. Does anybody have a square to spare? Jesus Christ. What is up? Not a square to spare. It's a Seinfeld episode. Elaine goes into a restroom. And she's on the toilet. And there's no toilet paper. And she says to the lady in the stall over, she says, ma'am, do you have a square to spare? I need a piece of toilet paper. I'm over here and I don't have anything to use. And the lady says no. I can't remember in the episode if it was a coworker or if it was just a random restaurant or something that she was at. I can't remember. I think it was a job. It had to have been her job because the ending of the story, hold on, I'll get there. It had to have been her job. And she's in the female's room. And the person next to her says, no, I'm not giving you any toilet paper. Well, fast forward a week. Elaine's in the bathroom now. And there's someone in the stall next to her. And the lady says, excuse me, can you give me some toilet paper? I don't have any toilet paper over here. And Elaine says, I'm sorry, I don't have a square to spare. The lady next to her knew who it was because she had asked if she had a square to spare the week before. You get what I'm saying? So Elaine being petty said, hell no, I'm not giving you toilet paper. You didn't do it for me. We're going to talk about this. These are the 8 men that were arrested in Tennessee. I mean, imagine being such a piece of crap. Then when people are at their lowest of lows and they've just been hit with a natural disaster and they've lost everything, their businesses, their homes, they don't even know where half of their family is. And here you are out here looting what is left. What is left. And I just wonder. Let's see if this talks about their immigration status. Because the first thing that stuck out to me, well, you saw. Thank God. I went to close this and the onions fell in the bottom of the Happy Meal. They could have fell in my lap. Thank you, Jesus. It was 2 or 3 of them, too. Hot mustard. Literally the only good sauce. Well, It's their best sauce. I do like their sweet and sour. The barbecue's Honey mustard is pretty good. But the hot mustard is where it's at. So they were off of Highway 107, an area near Washington County, Tennessee. The sheriff was reporting on this to the media. It says 8 men have been arrested for allegedly looting flood-ravaged communities in the Washington area. They arrested them Saturday for looting. Well, at least they're holding them. I mean, Jesus, they gave them a bond, so they didn't slap them on the wrist and send them on their way. They're setting all in the detention center on a $20,000 bond apiece, and they're scheduled to appear in court Monday. They also were hit with aggravated burglary charges. Look at the names. Now, I have no doubt. Let's see. I can't say this. Is that Jesus Lindon? Oh, God, y'all. Garcia Pinda. Jose. Or no. Jesus. Lord. This is why I don't even try. Because. Oh, David. I can say that one. David. Kevin. Martinez Lopez. Lord. Let's go back up here to the top. I mean, what? They just decided they were just going to go out and just start robbing people? I mean, this is... None of them look like they need money or food. They are very well taken care of. So what are you doing? I mean, you're just that crappy of a person, huh? Really? You're just that crappy of a person. Oh, I posted some clips this morning. Apparently, there are rescue volunteers that are claiming that local officials have begun to seize their supply of water and food. One woman was threatened with jail time if she did not stop handing out food and water. So they a distribution center set up in Asheville. Had food and water that they were bringing in from the public. People were donating things to this nonprofit. The cops show up and tell her, and start asking questions about where she's getting her supply from and how much of it she has. Then they threaten to take her to jail if she doesn't shut the whole operation down. So glad that I can eat French fries like this again. For a long time I couldn't. They are good. It's definitely like, reminds me of when I used to get drunk and order DoorDash because I was too hungover to go anywhere. Couldn't even walk. I needed an IV. Give me the vitamin juice, doctor. Please. Ain't that sad? We used to go get IVs. I used to spend $130 a pop so that I wouldn't hungover. This is so good. I'm sorry. I'm getting there. I'm there. I do like when it's hot like that. And it's all on social media, TikTok and YouTube. You can't, when you go to look, the web, search the web for information about these distribution centers being prevented from helping people and their supply being taken by local enforcement. You can't find nothing on the news. What's that ketchup? We need to wash this bag. It got jelly in it. I still haven't done it. I ain't had time. I've also been working on my lawsuit because I go in front of a judge for that this week. Then my nerves have calmed down a lot. But I'm still just, my biggest concern is that the cops are dirty. That has been my experience in small towns. They own each other. They all party together. They all cook each other dinner and hang out at their house. And I'm specifically talking about all of the city workers. The magistrate knows the fire department, and the fire department knows the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department knows the clerk of court, and they're all buddy-buddy. That's the good old boy system. They all know each other. Their kids go to school together, and they play softball together, and their kids play sports together, and that's a small town. So when you're dealing with a small town like that, and they're ran on the good old boy system, it's a lot harder to get results in court because people are corrupt. Can you believe that there are still hundreds of people missing? I told you guys, I said this is Trina on a whole nother level. And I think there was 1,300 people that passed during Katrina, so it's not quite as severe. But what I'm saying for this area, it is. This is the last place that people would be prepared for a damn hurricane in the middle of the mountains in western North Carolina, hundreds of miles away from the coast. You know, it's just so crazy. It's very crazy. Only state hit. Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida. This has impacted so many states in such a quick period of time. I mean, it's like it came and then it was gone. They're still dealing with the after effects of all of this, and we will be for years to come. Hell, being able to access parts of Swannanoa, Black, and all of that area over there, it's going to take weeks to get in there. It's already been 9 days, and we still have people stranded. Want a burger? I mean, it's pathetic. I will say that this administration is a complete embarrassment. We will look back on this time like, God, what happened then? The past, 4 years, everything that has taken place as far as the corruption, it will be talked about for generations. It's a moment in history, this corrupt administration. I got this last night. I'm going to try it on some vegetables. Maybe a sub. Thank you to the guy at McDonald's that gave me extra sauces. You're the best. I'd give you a hug. I'd give you a hug. Sauces get hugs. That is a fact. You give me sauces, you're getting a hug. I love me some sauces. I don't know what it is. I love my condiments. Love them. I'm definitely the type of person to put like barbecue sauce on pizza. I'm such a weirdo. Can't help it. I don't like my food dry. You know what? It probably is from growing up. I'm being for real. It's probably from the families I grew up with. Y'all know I grew up with foster families half my life, so a lot of the black people I stayed with, they seasoned their food, honey. It wasn't no chicken and salt and pepper, you know what I mean? They put the whole foot in there. That's probably what it is I love my seasonings. When I cook, man, when I make my collard greens, oh my God, y'all. I put like a pound of fucking bacon in them. Brown sugar, thyme, garlic, all kinds of shit. Salt, pepper. vinegar. That's what I wish. I wish that I could come up with a way to make these people hot meals. All of the restaurants and businesses are closed. There's no way to make hot food because there's no power. That's why I was thinking we could take a grill there and I could grill burgers and hot dogs, and I can even warm the buns up on the grill. Grill cost me 50 bucks. It's the charcoal that's expensive. But I could probably push out 50 to 100 hot dogs on one grill in less than 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Specifically burgers. Those are going to take a little longer. But I could probably get 20 patties on a grill. One of those small, portable, shitty little square grills. Hell, $100 grill nowadays with propane, that might be my best bet. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't even know if I'm going to win this lawsuit. I'm just trying to come up... Sorry. Exercising demons. I'm just trying to come up with better solutions. I would love to be able to cook, like, you know, like chicken breast and, like, mashed potatoes or something. But, like, it's damn near impossible unless I got a generator. Which I need. I need a generator. Like, I need it so bad. It would save me so much money if I had a generator. I'm having to eat out so much. And can I just say that this was a good damn deal? I got this Happy Meal and they gave me a coffee with it instead of my regular drink. And it was $4.50. That's really not bad. I'm not, you know, and that's why I'm here. I said it'll fill me up. My stomach's been upset for 2 days. I don't know what's going on with that. So I can eat a Happy Meal right now because I know that that will fix my stomach issues. Yeah. It's really devastating, everything that's going on. And what was I looking for? Let me see if I can go find him. I'm sorry, you guys. I looked away for 1 minute and all of the children are over here ruining the chat. I'm so sorry. Hello. Hello, Callie. I don't read comments when I'm eating. I don't read them half the time because they're mean. Hey, Kat. Yeah, I know, Kat. Ain't that crazy? Your comment, the person that makes multiple accounts every single day to get these lives, call everyone else crazy. I mean, I really wasn't expecting this kind of level of stalking. But just know that it's not just online. I just want you to know that the stuff that I'm going through online is not just online. And I'm going to leave it at that because any talk about things, it gets worse. So it's attention. And this is why I keep talking about bullies. This is how they are. It's about attention. Where's this at? What was the guy's name in the green shirt that I posted earlier? I cannot remember. Oh, also, remember the other night we watched a video of a guy that was doing he was airlifting people out. Oh, this is kind of cool. Let me show you this. I saw this and I was like, oh, that's lovely. That's helping. Let's see if I can get this hooked up. Hold on 1 second. Do Bluetooth. Let's see. My Chevrolet. No. What happened? Pair. Normally it does it on its own. Now today it's being set. Like, of course it is. And this is messed up when I go to pair. No. I give up. All right, so I'm just going to have to tell you what he's saying because you're not going to be able to hear it. So they are taking... Look at this. So they are taking drones and they are flying them in. They're hooking these shopping carts. I think I told you guys pieces of this. Look at that. God, it's a big one. So these things were made for spraying crops, but they use them to try to locate people that were stranded. They're flying over, and people are standing out waving their hands saying that they need help. Still, 9 days later. My computer's not working at all. Let's get the... How many... I feel like I got burger in my... So the death toll has rose to over 230 in the southeast. So people kept asking how this happened. Why you want to work now? You didn't want to work a while ago. No, I don't want to hear it now. People are not quite understanding how this happened. So what happened was this is a mountain. So you go up and you go down. And there's all of these mountains around. And when that rain came, the dams filled up. It was so much rain at once. And the people at the bottom, at the base of the mountain, it started to flood. The dams are full. The rain's coming. And the hurricane brought so much rain that it flooded the entire city. All of the rivers, all of the streams, all of the dams were completely full to the brim. And then the water just kept rising. And I don't think that they were expecting this. They were calling for a storm. Most people didn't think it was going to be a big deal. A lot of people didn't have the financial ability to just take off out of town, even though they were evacuating the place. Now, speaking of evacuation, when did Asheville, North Carolina give orders to evacuate for Helene? When did North Carolina... See, now I messed up. You piece of shit. Sorry. When did Asheville, North Carolina give... When did Asheville, North Carolina give orders to evacuate for Helene? So it says now 230. It says rainfall, torrential, I can't say it. Torrential rainfall capped off 3 days of extreme unrelenting precipitation, which left catastrophic flooding and unmanageable damage to our mountains and southern foothills. So it was just so much rain at once, there was nowhere for it to go. The rivers, the dams, the streams had filled up, and it just kept rising. You know, when here's your dam, it's full to the brim. The streams around it are full to the brim. There's nowhere for water to go, and it just starts to rise over the dam. It was close to a worst case scenario for Western North Carolina. It was. It absolutely was. And the only reason that they're telling you that it's not is because they don't want you to know, the Biden administration doesn't want people to know how big of an F up this was. A seemingly limitless tropical moisture enhanced by interactions with the high terrain yielded some of the highest rainfall totals, followed by some of the highest river levels and some of the most severe flooding ever observed across the region. And I'm willing to bet ever. I'm going to say ever. That's just my opinion. Ever. They're saying ever it was the worst case scenario. It might have been the worst case scenario. It might have been the worst flooding ever seen in this area. I'm saying it absolutely was. It's no exaggeration to how damaging this was. People were not expecting this, and no one, I highly doubt that anyone ever thought that a hurricane could reach all the way to Tennessee from Florida. It's crazy when you think about it, but this is how these things are, and it's not over. We are in the starting stages. We're still finding people. There's still people trapped. It was close to the I'm sorry. So it says, it's no exaggeration to liken this to a Florence-level disaster for the mountains, since the apparent rarity of the rainfall amounts and the impacts they produced, including large stretches of highways underwater, and a plea from the NC Department of Transportation, quote, that all roads in western North Carolina should be considered closed. We are on par with eastern North Carolina's worst hurricane from 6 years ago. While the full extent of this event was to document, not to mention to recover from, we can make an initial assessment of the factors that made for such an extreme rainfall and the precipitation totals and other hazards, and how this storm compares to some of the worst for the mountains and for our state as a whole. So I've been saying since then that this was the worst catastrophe that North Carolina has ever saw. It seems like they're starting to agree with me. So I'm glad that people are starting to realize that all of these buildings are now a total loss. All of this is a total loss. All of this will have to be took down, destroyed, and then rebuilt. Because of flood water, it's going to be inhabitable. There are feet of mud that are in these buildings now. I went and saw the VRQ. And the inside of the VRQ, the videos, you can go see them. They're on my channel. The inside of the VRQ is what the inside of these buildings now look like too. All of the sediment from the bottom of the rivers, the mud, the leaves, the debris, all of that is now in the middle of these cities. And it's feet of mud. And that mud's going to dry. It already has. And now there's just, when you drive through these cities, Swannanoa in particularly, when you drive through, specifically, when you drive through Swannanoa, it is clouds and clouds of red dust because this mud, this sediment that was on the bottom of the rivers are now on the streets. And when I tell you that it looks leveled, like it looks like leveled as far as the eye can see, it looks like something out of a horror movie. So this is another thing. Y'all remember me telling you, doesn't it feel like meteorologists don't know how to do their jobs anymore? Because this hurricane was actually a hurricane. It was a 1 that ended up being a 4. How do you mess up that bad? At 5 p.m. on Wednesday, September 25th, Hurricane Helene was a Category 1 strength with its center just north of the Cancun, Mexico line, or just north of Mexico, Cancun. More than 500 miles and 30 hours away from its eventual landfall along the coast of Florida. Now, that was on Wednesday. They were finally, the Western Carolinas got hit Friday. But how do you mess up that bad? A Category 1 and a Category 4 are completely, and I'm not a meteorologist, but what I'm willing to bet is they have some way that they are supposed to classify these things, and somebody messed up big time. Big time. They don't know how to do their job. Check the weather right now. It's probably going to be the opposite of what it actually is in front of you. It says, but it was already raining in Asheville by... So, Wednesday, the rain started. The 25th, the rain started. Wednesday, September 25th at 5 p.m. The rain had already started in Asheville by then as a line of slow-moving showers along a stalled cold front, fed by tropical moisture from the fringes of Helene to the south, had set up from Atlanta through the southern Appalachians. Appalachians? Y'all know what I mean. By midnight on Thursday, the Asheville airport totaled 4.9 inches, and the stream flows were already running at daily record high levels in upstream, upslope parts of the French Broad River Basin. Speaking of the French Broad River, This is something I've been learning too. I didn't even know that was a river. So there was a flood exactly like this in 1916, and it was called the Great Flood of 1916, and a very similar thing happened because of the mass amount of rain, because of the rivers overflowing, the whole city flooding. It's hard to believe that the Great Flood of 1916 that ravaged western North Carolina took place over 100 years ago. So it's been over 100 years. This is a once-in-a-century type of thing. We'll read about that in a minute, but I want to finish this on how flooding started and how the weather was wrong. So it says that this mere 4.9 inches had already started record levels of flooding upstream up parts of the French Broad River Basin. The rain continued all day on Thursday as the frontal boundary had barely moved and Helene's outer rain bands were closing in, adding even more moisture to the mix. Y'all, look at this. Whoa. Listen, I'm not even a meteorologist, but I can look at this. I could have seen this and told you something was a brewing, honey. How did they not know when it's literally their jobs? Who's talking crap? It says more than 9 inches fell that day across the southern Yancey County. As mountain streams became overrun with moisture, the water rushed down the rivers and into towns such as Asheville, while the heaviest rain from Helene was just beginning to fall. So what happened was it was already raining days prior to Helene. And then when the storm hit, it had already been raining. Things were already flooding prior to Helene hitting. And then she hit. And it was like the domino effect. Now it's starting to make sense. As mountain streams became on with moisture, the water rushed down the rivers into towns such as Asheville, all while the heaviest rainfall from Helene was just starting to fall. The storm's impacts were especially long-lasting because of its massive size. It developed in a high humidity environment over the warm Gulf of Mexico, which let it grow and strengthen unimpeded. So it's saying that they didn't recognize that it was gathering strength over the warm Gulf of Mexico, and that's why it went from a 1 to a 4. That also created a broad southeasterly station with tropical storm force winds exceeding more than 300 miles from the center of its impacted Florida. That pushed even more moisture up the saturated mountain slopes. It was literally the worst case scenario. From the start of the precursor frontal showers on Wednesday evening to the heart of Helene moving through on Friday morning, it was one of the most incredible and impactful weather events our state ever saw. How can I see these things but I can't put them into words? I really need to finish school, y'all. Really need to finish school. Extreme totals and flooding. Over that 3-day window from Wednesday, September 25th through Friday, September 27th, that's only 2 days. Rainfall totals exceeded 8 inches across our mountain region, with a foot more falling in parts of Allegheny County, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, and the swath from Boone through Brevard. That's another area supposedly damaged was Brevard. I did not get over there. There's so many different places that were hit. It's hard to go around and visit them all because roads are still blocked off. And there is no way to a lot of areas. There's still proof that, yes, Megan, exactly. There are people still dying. I mean, it's been 9 days. If you were dependent on insulin, you are dead by now, number one. If you were also dependent on any other life medication, you know, people have stuff that they have to take to live. So if you're on any medication that helps you survive to day, and then you're also not getting food, water, and your basic needs met, that's going to put you at a higher risk of dying right there. But also, this area has elderly people who don't have nowhere to go. So they didn't evacuate because they said, hell, if this is how the good Lord's going to take me, this is how he's going to take me. That's how a lot of old people think. And I'm kind of like that too. I would have stayed. I would have been one of the ones trapped, honey, because I ain't going. You know what I mean? This is my home. This is my land. These are my people. This is my town. I ain't going. So I understand why a lot of people did not evacuate. But I still can't find when the evacuation orders come, and that's what this is about. We're going to see if it's in here because it says that it is, but I haven't read this. So we're learning this together. But there are people still trapped, and they've been waiting for 9 days. Imagine laying there wondering when you're going to start hearing the helicopters coming for your rescue. There was a private pilot who had his own plane who was threatened with arrest from a fire marshal if he proceeded with his own volunteer search and rescue missions. He said that he would fly over rivers, you guys, and there would be people out there screaming and throwing their arms up. Dozens of people waiting to be rescued, and this was just yesterday. Sorry, I just want to get some of these out of the way before I continue. Exactly, lost can never be found. Exactly, and that's the problem. You know, I think a lot of people can't put themselves in these people's shoes because they have a home, you know, and they're busy with their day-to-day lives. But I just want people to know that this is not over. There are still people stranded. FEMA and the National Guard supposedly have boots on the ground. We were there. I was there for 4 days. Oh, 4 or 5, maybe 6 military trucks. When I was leaving, going down I-40, headed west towards Statesville, I saw maybe 5 or 6 military. They're the military box trucks that has like the canopy on the sides of them. And it's got up front, it has maybe enough room for 2 or 3 guys to sit in there. And the whole back of it has a canopy on it. And it's the military army color, almost this color. Those are the only military trucks that I saw. It's crazy. I stopped smoking weed, so yeah. Sorry that you're late to this. I stopped smoking weed the other day. Thank you, Callie. It says, over a 3-day window of time from Wednesday 25th to Friday September 27th, rainfalls totaled over 8 inches across the mountain region. Oh, we read that. More than 8 inches fell across the southern Yancey County, western McDowell County, eastern, southeastern Bucumbe County, and that's where we were at. I went straight to Bucumbe. They said that there was no roads in or out. We found out that was a lie because I was able to get in. I got there. That was their excuse for not coming, though, initially. Oh, we can't send the military because there's no roads in or out. The lie detector determined that on Monday. I was able to get in by Monday. That included 24.4 inches at our Econ Nation on Mount Mitchell. I used to rock climb at Mount Mitchell. This is another reason that I love this area so much, is that I used to do sports out here. I used to rock climb. And it says 19 inches at our station in Bearwell Mountain. So 18 to 24 inches had fallen between Yancey, Mount Mitchell, Bearwell Mountain, McDowell County. I mean, that's a lot of rain, you guys. And then it had already been raining for days prior. The highest apparent total from the event came from the North Carolina Forecast Service's Rawls station in the Busick, with a 3-day accumulation of 31 inches. While unvalidated at this point, Radar estimates back up the potential for 2 feet of rain or more in just Yancey County. This is crazy. I mean, it's horrific. We're going to watch a video in a minute of a woman that lost her parents and her son. And there's video footage of them standing on the roof waiting to be helicoptered off. And she said at the point where the whole house was submerged underwater and they're standing on the roof, they're still thinking that someone's coming to rescue them. She said at any moment she was thinking that a helicopter would just show up and airlift them out. She lost her son and her parents because there was nobody there to rescue them. This administration needs to be arrested and charged. At least a dozen weather stations had their wettest 3-day periods on record during this event, including the National Weather Service, Cooperative Observer Station in Clio. Wow, okay, these are the news stations. These are the meteorologists that I always claim don't know how to do their job. For once, we have a little bit of information. So it says at least a dozen weather stations had their wettest 3-day periods on record. The National Weather Service, they calculated 19.90 inches of rainfall. Sparta, which is, I think, somewhere in South Carolina. Oh, I know where Sparta is. I've been to Sparta. Sparta, Carolina, 17.29 inches. And Boone, North Carolina, which is a while from, or that's the Asheville area. I get Asheville and Asheboro mixed up. That's Asheville. Okay. Boone is in, yes. No. Boone is not Asheville. Boone is in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I get them, and it's near Grandfather Mountain. It's in the same vicinity, you guys. I get Asheville and Asheboro mixed up. But anyways, Boone said that they saw 16.7 inches of rain. Look at this. This is how it flooded. Look at all of the counties. So these are all the western counties. Well, a lot of North Carolina counties. These are all North Carolina counties. Look at how much rain each one got. I mean, that's 2 feet. That's over 2 feet. If all of these counties are flooding at the same time, there's nowhere for the water to go. It turns into a fishbowl. Oh, is it Sparta, Tennessee, Margaret? Because we have a Sparta down in South Carolina. It might be Sparta, Tennessee. Thanks. I'm sorry about the dang people. This is why I like learning about. Oh, it is. And it's oh, it's a very small. The population of Sparta is only 5,000 people as of 2020. The Coca-Cola River flows through the city. I'm sure that's not good when it's flooding. What? Yeah, the Coca-Cola River. I wonder if 70 from, do you know, what was her name? I just said her name. Margaret, do you know if Highway 70 runs from Sparta through North Carolina? Highway 70. There's a Sparta in North Carolina. Okay. Wow, there's Spartas everywhere, huh? We need to come up with more original names for these places, because I'm telling you, I didn't know there was like 8 different Lexingtons either. There's a Lexington in North Carolina. There's one in Kentucky. They have them everywhere. Oh, thanks. I'm a mess this morning. It's Spartanburg, South Carolina. Oh, thank you, Bianca. I love your name, by the way. It's a beautiful name. Thank you. Yeah, you know, Megan, that's the only people that have been out there is private organizations, nonprofits, the Red Cross, which I found out recently they have gave me in the past. That's who's helping is the community members in the surrounding areas. It's been 9 days and I haven't seen any actual footage of the National Guard and or on the ground. Now, the Biden administration and the FEMA website have put out pictures and videos, but I can promise you if you go riding through Swannanoa, Black Mountain, you won't be able to find those military members in FEMA. It's so weird. It's so weird. I have a better understanding going out there and coming back of how the media lies. It's all lies. The pictures that they have on the FEMA website, it's lies. The weather station in Asheville at the Asheville Regional Airport lost communications on Friday morning. See, that's another thing. If they don't have no communications because it's a blackout, how are they supposed to send air traffic control out? Like, how are they supposed to send the pilots out and then be able to talk to air traffic control? It's impossible. It was a complete blackout. There's not even communications at the Asheville Regional Airport as of Friday morning. But up to that point, it had reported 13 inches, nearly 3 months worth of precipitation falling in less than 3 days. So before Hurricane Helene already hit, before it hit the Western Carolinas, they were already having flooding issues. Then the hurricane came and it turned into a fishbowl. It's just horrific. The heavy rain sent the Watauga, Catawba, and Swannanoa and French Broad rivers near or above their major flood stages. That rising water overwhelmed communities across the region. So confirming what I just said as far as the streams and the lakes and everything's filling up and the dam, and there's nowhere for the water to go. Downtown Boone. So Asheville is Boone. I'm sorry, you guys. I swear to God, if my head wasn't on my shoulders, I wouldn't know where it was. It says, downtown Boone was flooded by several feet of flood water. Emergency responders had to conduct swift water rescues in Watauga County. Morganton suffered significant flooding as the Catawba River, which hit record levels just upstream, spilled over into the city. Yes, I get it. In Buncombe County, officials reported biblical devastation, with Asheville largely inaccessible and water up to the rooftops in surrounding communities such as Swannanoa and Black Mountain. I mean, it's just so scary to think about. Where do you go? There's nowhere for you to go. On the roof of a house, you're screwed. Heavy rain along with the Broad River Basin sent a destructive wave of water, mud, and debris into towns of Chimney Rock and Lake Lure. Those are other areas. Chimney Rock, it's gone. It's gone. You know, if you have pictures of you at Chimney Rock, that's a piece of history that's gone. Lake Lure was also devastated, reducing homes and businesses to splinters. As that water crested the top and flowed around the side walls of the Lake Lure Dam, it prompted downstream evacuations and dam failure. And somebody had told me that the dam had broke. And I actually had like 6 people tell me that a dam had broke. So if you hear me saying, oh, the dam broke, that's why. Sorry, I was listening to local residents, but we went and we did some final digging to find out what dam broke. And as it come to find out, none of them broke. They were just overflowing. So there was issues. They thought that one was going to malfunction, and they've been out there fixing that. That's the dam at Lake Lure that had some issues, but it did not break. But at the end of the day, what happened is there was nowhere for water to go. The dams were full, the streams were full, and they started overflowing into you and I's backyard. And before you know it, the river was in our yard, and our yard was the river. So this is what happens with excessive amounts of rainwater in short periods of time. So it says similar evacuations were requested downstream of Waterville Dam in northern Haywood County. I went all over Haywood as well. And along parts of Mountain Island Lake as large amounts of water moved swollen Catawba River system. And is it Catawba? Catawba? I try so hard. Ah! Landslides or mudslides were evident on Interstate 40 in McDowell County and along the Tennessee border, as well as in countless rural corners of the mountains, such as the byways near Bavar. That's another area that I told you guys severely damaged. Where the tropical fall sites of scenic waterfalls and colorful foliage have been replaced by total destruction this year. Look at this. This was part of Chimney Rock Village that was destroyed. As you can see, the top of this building is actually slanted down. I don't know what happened. It looks like somebody was trying to bend the building in half. Catawba. Jesus Christ. Y'all, I need an interpreter. I was there, Mark, and that's what we looked for 3 days. And I did. I have multiple live streams where I would ask people, where is the DRC center set up? So FEMA is supposed to get boots on the ground, pop up these portable tents. They're supposed to be handing out hot meals. They're supposed to be, helping the National Guard with search and rescue missions. The National Guard is supposed to be boots on the ground and have helicopters in the air searching and rescue, and they have not. They have not been. When I was there, they were there, and we searched for them. Now when I left out Thursday afternoon, I do believe, I saw 5 or 6 military canopy trucks that matched my shirt. They're that color, like the Army National Guard trucks. But that's all I saw. And it really sucks. Oh, McDonald's in Asheville's giving out free food. Good. Good. So it says, wind and tornadoes, with the exception of storm surge, and Florida was hit by that. Helene brought the full hurricane impacts to North Carolina, and in full force just after its landfall at a Category 4 strength. How does it go from a 1 to a 4? I know that these things happen, but that's just so huge. That's such a big jump. Across the state, the storm whipped up strong winds with tropical storm force gusts observed through the mountains, Piedmont, and southern coastal plains. The 66-mile-an-hour gust at the Charlotte airport was the strongest there since a thunderstorm microburst on August 19th of 2019. That was the strongest wind that the Charlotte airport had seen since 2019. On Mount Mitchell, our EconNet station measured a gust of 106 miles an hour at 8:30 on Friday, the strongest wind observed since April of 2011. Our station on Pan Mountain reported a gust of 87 miles an hour, which is the highest wind it has ever recorded, dating back to November of 2004. Those winds produced widespread power outages across western North Carolina. On Friday morning, Duke Energy reported 700,000 customers in North Carolina were out power, and 281 outages had been 100,000 stored by then. Since then, those numbers have been slow to decline, and more than 500,000 outages 2 days after he moved through. So these are the areas that was hit. See, I'm all the way up here. That's where I'm from. And then, or that's where I've 30 years. And then I went all the way over here. I'm trying to figure out which one of those are. It's just so crazy because normally you would think a hurricane would come over here. So that's what makes this so devastating, is because, yeah, we're expecting it out here. We're not expecting it here. So it says the storm also posed a tornado threat across the state, spawning 6 confirmed tornadoes on Friday, in addition to a rare mountain tornado on Wednesday evening near Blowing Rock. And it was the first in Watauga County since 1998, first tornado. As EF3 strength, as it crossed Highway 301 in Rocky Mount. Although it was on the ground for only a quarter of a mile, the tornado destroyed several buildings and caused 15 injuries. I didn't even know a tornado touched down in Rocky Mount. But apparently at the same damn time that the mountains were flooding, there was tornadoes going off because of this. How scary. This was the third EF3 tornado on the Rocky Mountain area within the past 15 months, joining the July 2023 tornado north of the city and an EF3 tropical storm Debbie in Wilson County last month. Y'all, Rocky Mount, I'm praying for you guys. Jesus Christ, I had no clue. The State Department of Public Safety report more than 200 people have been rescued from floodwaters. But there have been hundreds of more calls for rescue and more than 1,000 requests for welfare checks. That's people that don't know where their family is. That means that the death toll is likely to climb as hit-hard areas are finally accessed in the coming days. As of Sunday afternoon, the state had officially confirmed 11 fatalities, but the local numbers have already surpassed that figure, including 30 fatalities so far just in Buncombe County. That's the county that I was in for the most part when I was in Asheville. So it says, sadly, our state's long-running benchmark for deaths during a tropical event, approximately 80 during the mountains regions during July of 1916 flood. Now, that was the flood that we're going to read about in a second. That was the last time anything like this has ever happened, and it was in 1916. But this storm has actually already broken water records. So this flood was worse than the flood in 1916. The high terrain of western North Carolina has seen its share of heavy flooding over the years, while tropical systems in that region aren't as common as along our coastlines. Those events can become super soakers in this easily exturbated precipitation, potentially when moist air rises up the mountain slopes. Most recently, Tropical Storm Fred, which was also preceded by slow-moving thunderstorms that saturated soils and streams, produced deadly flood across Haywood County in August of 2021. Now, Haywood is right down the road from Buncombe, which is Asheville. I went through Haywood County as well to look at the storm damage there. The damage is through multiple counties in western North Carolina. But Helene exceeded the cover in Calamity, y'all, along with the heaviest rainfall totals from that event. During Fred, the National Weather Service issued one flash flood emergency, used only rarely during life-threatening and catastrophic water rises. And that would be along the Pigeon River. By comparison, portions of 21 counties in North Carolina had those emergency warnings during Helene. 21 counties. Many of the mountains also remember the floods and landslides in September of 2004, which had been the wettest month ever recorded for many of the western sites, thanks to the tropical trio Francis, Ivan, and Gianna, y'all. Jeannie, Lord Brooke. So it seems like back in 2004, there was a trio of storms that caused these same mountains to flood and have landslides. That's another thing that I forgot to tell you guys about. A lot of ways, they have mountains, and this wet climate causes mudslides. There are people driving down the road, and then all of a sudden they're not. The mudslides place like this, I'll show you. So you're on your way from home from work, and then all of a sudden, the mud is so saturated with water, it just slides down and takes you back to your maker. Takes you back to your maker. Takes you back home, honey. So it says, but the totals from September of 2024 will be even greater in some areas, making this the new wettest month on record at sites including Asheville, Sparta, and North Wilkesboro. And that's not just a figurative high water mark. The French Broad River in Fletcher crested 10 feet higher than its previous peak after Francis in 2004. So things are the worst they've ever been. Once again, all of my assumptions are being confirmed. I said that this was the worst natural disaster that North Carolina had ever seen. I said that it was times worse than what people are going to realize until weeks or months happen, and it's been a week. It's just crazy. The only reason, it's all politics. It's all politics why these people weren't helped. It's all politics why they're, why the people of Asheville are taking care of themselves. It's all politics. This failed administration. Perhaps the only local event in the same ballpark as this one for the Southern Mountains is the of July of 1916, when a remnant tropical storm caused rivers to swell and inundate Asheville and other mountain towns. For more than a century, that event has loomed as the area's flood of record. But now that belongs to Helene instead, for good reason. The scale of the impacts was broader and the mountain landscape much more developed now compared than 108 years ago. Because of that, the damage is certain to exceed the inflation adjusted $641 million from the storm of 1916, likely by an order of magnitude. For reference, Florence caused an estimated $17 billion in damages in the state. Ugh. So it's saying financially it's going to exceed anything we've ever saw financially. At the few river gauges in the region that observed both Helene and the storm of 1916 storm, the crests since Helene have broken those long-standing records. The French Broad River and the Shenandoah River, which collided at high speeds and high volumes in 1916 to overtake the Biltmore Village, but saw record crests during and after Helene. The French Broad River in Asheville rose 1.5 feet above its previous highest, and downstream at the Braintree, the river surpassed its 1916 crest and was still rising when the gauge stopped reporting on Friday afternoon. The Shenandoah River at Biltmore crest 26.1 feet, more than 5 feet above its 1916 maximum and slightly above the apparent 26-foot crest in April of 1791, making this effectively the worst flood along the river since North Carolina became a state. Hello, Chelsea. I hope you're doing well. So it says, The widespread flooding, washing over and washing out towns and roadways after Helene was uncomfortably similar to the scenes in eastern North Carolina following Hurricane Matthew in 2016 and Hurricane Florence in 2018. And once again, the major city in the region, Wilmington, then Asheville now, had its interstate connects severed by the flooding. In addition to those similar impacts, one of the comparing events on opposite ends of the state is using rainfall return intervals, which frame a specific amount over a certain duration as the likelihood of occurring in any given year, such as 1 in 10 year event with a 1% chance of occurring. While imperfect due to a lack of recent updates, the most comprehensive return frequency data comes from the NOAA Atlas 14 product that showed totals from Hurricane in 1999 and potential tropical cyclone 8 earlier this summer as roughly 1 in 500 year events, with the totals in excess of 30 inches during Florence classified as worse than 1 in 1,000 year events. Jesus, they're saying that this is so rare. This is so rare. This is like a 1 in a 500 or 1 in 1,000 year type of thing, which is what I said Sunday when, I started thinking about heading out there. So it says, in Asheville, the 3-day total of almost 4 inches goes well beyond the 1 in 1,000 year total for a 72-hour period of time. They're saying that this was a freak accident, that this would only happen. There was a 1% chance of all of this catastrophe taking place. And that 1% chance happened. Another event of this magnitude within the state offers even more evidence that our climate is changing and in extreme ways. I agree. I believe in climate change. I do. I've seen it. I've lived almost 40 years. I've seen it. I've felt it. I remember when I was coming up, my mama wouldn't let me wear shorts to school until like June because it wasn't warm enough yet. But this past winter, I didn't even have a winter. I remember days in January it was 89 degrees. Now those are sporadic, isolated days. But it's not snowing it used to. I remember when I was a kid, we would have 3 or 4 hard snows in North Carolina a year. It's not happening anymore. So there's no disputing that climate change is a real thing. Now, what it's coming from is what's up for debate, okay? The fact is even if it's coming from cars, the emission, cows emit gases too. Give me a break. I do not agree with EV vehicles. I do not think that we have the infrastructure. I think that they can be dangerous because of the battery components. I personally don't like EV cars, and I'm not saying that climate change isn't real. I believe in climate change. I think that things are getting hotter. I think that we're getting closer to the sun. I think that, the equator or whatever, things are shifting. Maybe not the equator, you know what I mean. Something. I'm not whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But what I do know is that it's definitely getting hotter. Things are changing. There's no debate in that. It's rapid intensification of Helene over the Gulf, the amount of moisture available in its surrounding environment, and the manifestation as locally heavy, in some case historically unheard of rainfall amounts, are all known side effects of a warmer atmosphere. It says, while we can't for sure say how many more storms like this we will see in the future, it's clear certainly that we won't see another Helene in the Atlantic, as that name is a safe bet for retirement by the World Meteorological Organization due to its devastation along the Florida coastline and North Carolina mountains. In a historic coincidence, a previous iteration of Helene was one of our state's biggest weather what-ifs. The 1958 storm by that name approached a Category 4 strength, only to turn away at the last moment, sparing areas like Wilmington a direct hit just 4 years after Hazel. This year, we've seen a different Category 4 Helene did to coastal area. We've seen what it did to coastal areas, battering the Big Bend of Florida with a 15-foot storm surge. But 66 years to the day after the first Helene gave us a close call in North Carolina, there was no avoiding the incredible impacts of this modern-day monster storm with the same name. So I want to read this small thing, and then I'm going to go back to the 8 men that were arrested for looting. I know I didn't tell y'all the full story. So it says, it's hard to believe that the Great Flood of 1916 that ravaged western North Carolina place over 100 years ago, the flood still lives on in the hearts and minds of Asheville area citizens. And it is still known as the flood to end all floods. The Asheville citizen, using a broadened gasoline engine to run its presses, described the devastation caused by the flood in its July 17th, 1916 edition. Quote, exacting an unknown total of death with a property loss of $3 million, Asheville's today is absolutely isolated from the outside world, is a city of darkness void of ordinary transportation facility, and finds herself helpless in the grasp of the most terrible flood conditions ever known here. So this is from 1916, the last time that had a huge flood like this. And that was the city back then. I mean, it's horrific. That's what it looks like now. It's all underwater. Well, it's receded now, but there's still parts underwater. That's what it looked like when hurricane hit on Friday. It said the roots of this natural disaster began on July 5th of 1916 when the skies up and it rained for 6 days straight. Around the same time for Helene, because it had already been raining 3 days prior to the storm hitting. When the weather cleared, the ground was completely saturated. What was needed was weeks of hot. It wasn't to be. On July 14th of 1916, a hurricane made landfall in Charleston, South Carolina. And by the morning of the 15th, the center of the storm had reached western North Carolina. The hurricane dumped as much as 15 to 22 inches of rain in 24 areas in some areas. At the time, it was the greatest 24-hour precipitation ever recorded in the United States. It was estimated that up to 90% of the rainfall that fell become runoff. Runoff is nowhere for it to go. The rains finally stopped, but the trouble for the people of western North Carolina was just beginning as those rivers rose and overflowed their banks. At 4:10 a.m. Sunday morning, July 16th, the Shenandoah River jumped its banks and spread out towards the Biltmore Village neighborhoods and the French Broad River. So Shenandoah is actually down in a kind of like a pit. When you're driving in, you can feel you're going down. It's in a holler. It's crazy. So just as I said, the rain was coming. There was nowhere for it to go. It says here, the Shenandoah River jumped its banks of the river. It jumped its banks and spread out towards Biltmore Village neighborhoods and the French Broad River. Hours later, earthen dams broke at... I can't say this, y'all. It says earthen dams broke at Nagua. Oh, God. Caniga and Osceola Lakes in Henderson County, launching a wall of water into Asheville's riverfront. The French Broad River crescent at an estimated 21 feet, 17 feet above flood stage. This average width of the French Broad River near Asheville was 381 feet in 1916. During the flood, it was approximately 1,300 feet across. Along the Catawba River, the flooding was similar. Catawba! Oh, God. Who was trying to tell me how to say it? Did I say it right now? Catawba. Oh, that's right. During the flood, it was approximately, along the Catawba River, the flooding was similar. In some locations along its path, the Catawba rose almost 3 feet beyond previous high water marks. Estimated damage cost the region exceeding $22 million. Y'all, this area of Asheville, like the Western Carolinas, this is going to be billions of dollars in damage. This was 22 million, which equates to roughly 480 million by today's standards. It's also estimated that 80 people died as a result of the flood. It's difficult to grasp the devastation that swept across this area. It's only in reading the quotes from citizens who lived through the flood that one begins to truly understand the impact of the flood in 1916 on the people of Western North Carolina. Look at these pictures. I should have been born back then, y'all. Seriously. I am such a I don't know, mountain girl. Like, I don't know. I'm just a southern, I don't know. I like to start fires, and I like to be out in the conditions, like the elements. And I mean, obviously I live out of a car, so you have to be comfortable with the elements to live like this, for sure. Wow. There was a Dr. Lucas Morris that lived in Chimney Rock, and this was from 1916. This is what he said. Quote, "The horrors of that night cannot be told. The rain fell in such solid masses that one seemed to be under a waterfall, and it not only undermined houses, but actually tore them to pieces. The noise of the rain was like continuous thunder, added to the roar of the river and the shock of the mountain slides literally crashing into the valleys. It was, in fact, a cataclysm, such as these mountains have probably not experienced in recent geological periods. The forces of nature setting themselves into a gigantic movement simply paralyzed anything that man could do and stunned imagination. The people who went through that awful night can never forget the shock of it. Throughout the hours of horror, when the daylight came, the worst scene of desolation, desolation, desolation ever viewed in the mountain became visible. The river began to recede at times and then, strange to say, would suddenly rise again. Walls of water came down the river like an ocean tide, with the thunderous noise of waves beating on a rocky coast. The greatest height of the water was reached at between 10 o'clock and midnight Saturday night. Only houses built deep in the mountainsides are standing." That was a doctor from 1916 that witnessed the most catastrophic floods of Western North Carolina. So as of right now, the death toll has rose to 332, and there are still hundreds still unaccounted for. What is this? Cataclysmal? Is that how you say that? Cataclysmal? Let's see. Oh, it's an ad.
Some more room to play. Year built for that mid-century original and market high.
Come on, man.
To buy in the hot neighborhood before it's a hot neighborhood.
Before it's a hot neighborhood.
Find the home that... Try RealView Maps, only on Realtor.com.
You are joining us here on Weather Command on this Friday. The death toll, it continues to climb. 1 week after Hurricane Helene made landfall in Florida, at least 220 people are dead across the southeast. Half of those deaths were in flood-ravaged North Carolina. Helene is now the deadliest mainland U.S. hurricane since Katrina. Some survivors are now able to return home, many for the first time to see the aftermath of Helene's flooding. The scenes greeting them are like this, what you see here out of Cove Creek. It's very difficult to digest, and I think shock is an easy thing to say that many people are in at this point. Fox weather meteorologist Jane Menard joining us. North Carolina. North Carolina, in particular, Jane, is where we've had the most deaths that have been reported. And every number matters. And I really want to, at this point, say we are now up to 222, because every number we get is a person, is a loved one, and now you have confirmation that they didn't make it. So we're at 222 deaths, and this latest death coming out of North Carolina, Jane. You have talked to so many of these families, and 1 week removed, but still, I think to say it's all very raw is an adequate, or at least accurate word to use, right?
It is. I think initially, there was a lot of shock, and there was almost this freeze mentality, but now, as you can hear the commotion around, people are getting to work, and now it's, okay, how do we pick up the pieces, how do we move forward, and look into the future from this tragedy? I'm standing in front of this pile of debris from this home, which, by the way,
Yes, Andrew, thank you for bringing that up. So if anybody wants to donate, I would recommend going to the Samaritan's Purse. It is a wonderful organization, and they actually are one of the best organizations to donate to. So if you want to donate, do not give it to the Red Cross. I know that I'm sorry. The Red Cross were the only people that I've seen boots on the ground. They have centers set up at AB Technical Institute. People can go over there and take showers. People are being brought in that are being rescued. They're on cots in the middle of the college. Because I had seen the Red Cross and they had helped me find out information about the truth about the National Guard and FEMA, I thought that they were a good organization. The rest, I've seen my great-grandpa give money to them, so I thought they were a good organization. Come to find out, they're not the best ones to donate to, and they have been scammy in the past, and they do the bare minimum. I found another organization, the Samaritan's Purse. I actually saw them out there on the mountain when I was physically there earlier in the week, and they are a lovely foundation that is actually helping people. And thank you for bringing that up, Andrew, so that people do know where to donate to the Samaritan's Purse.
It's the second oldest Mass General store ever. It was sold a while back, and a family lived here, and I actually want to bring in Matt from Samaritan's Purse. So Samaritan's Purse just showed up here this morning. Matt, talk to me more about what you have done with this particular property and just what you've seen over the
Oh my God, look, here they are.
So we've
Just
had just an army of volunteers from Samaritan's Purse. We actually showed up yesterday, got to work at around 9 a.m. in the morning, and there was probably about 70 of us here. And we just went into the house, and when we first got here, we were like, why are we here? What do we do with this home? It has been decimated. And everybody just started jumping in. We started tearing out drywall. We started moving furniture out. We started getting all of the things out of this house set here on the side of the road. And we got to pray with the family. We got to minister to actually other family right here behind us in this house over here. Their son was a tenant in this home. And when we were hearing the stories of what took place, we were thankful that the son, the family, and the people that lived on the other side are all safe. But no hand was
Where's that at?
Yesterday. We were all working together to help this family clear out the house.
Tell me a little bit more about how you guys ended up here, because there was you with the cell service and how you've been able to manage that as an organization for people who can't put in the work order.
Sure. Yeah, so this family back here was able to get internet and cell service, and they actually had their neighbors across the street put in the work order for them. They had power up here at their house. They were able to get cell service restored really quickly, and so they actually went out of their way to make sure that their neighbors were cared for. So people who are living in the area that may not have been deeply affected by the effects of the storm, that still have power, can look around at their neighbors and they can say, hey, they need help. They're probably not going to ask for it. They don't know how to ask for it. They don't have the resources to ask for it, but we can ask for it for them. And that's how this family was able to get taken care of back here. And so, it's just neighbor going to neighbor and caring for each other and doing what.
So I actually saw one of these helicopters the entire time I was there, and it was on the day that Joe Biden was supposed to be viewing North Carolina, and he was actually supposed to come and see North Carolina, but he didn't. I mean, they say that he did, but, once again, going back to, did he or did they say that, and then they flew the helicopter over just acting like he was in it? Because at this point, I believe nothing, and I almost wonder if the moon landing even happened. They lie so bad. The pictures from FEMA are bullcrap. Bullcrap. They were not on the ground. They have not been on the ground in the Asheville area, and you're an Asheville native, then you know what I'm saying is true. They have not been driving around, handing out water, handing out food, giving people to places to stay, which is absolutely what their job is. They are supposed to have portable showers, portable pop showers and bathrooms and places for people to lay their head. They're absolutely supposed to have that. That is the whole purpose of FEMA. Whole purpose. They're handing out meals, water, rescuing people. That's the National Guards. That's more of the National Guard. They're supposed to have choppers in the sky doing search and rescue missions, and they have not. And matter of fact, there's pilots that have been doing search and rescue missions, and the fire marshals and the local law enforcement are threatening to lock these men up for rescuing people. I mean, what a clown world. It's like a huge Barnum and Bailey's fucking circus around here. Circus. Sorry for cussing. People get all upset when you say the F word. So going back to this story, I never read it to you guys, and I want to read it to you guys. There was 8 scumbags that decided to use this opportunity to rob people of what was left in their homes. Now, I think I read parts of this, but let me just skim through it. It says 8 men have been arrested for allegedly looting flood-ravaged communities off of Highway 107 in the area of Washington, Tennessee. I did read part of this. The Washington County Sheriff's Office says deputies need to patrol the region, especially along the flood zone. When I was in Asheville, the VA got ruined. It's actually not the VA. It was an old hotel that the VA, alongside a different nonprofit, had opened. Nonprofit had bought this old hotel. They had renovated it, and they turned it into a living quarters for almost 200 men to live in. They had programs. These men had previously been homeless. It's literally worst case scenario. Most of these men had been homeless, living literally under bridges. Because they were veterans, the VA got them set up with this nonprofit that would house them. They would give them counseling. They would help them fight with their families, their children. They would give them treatment for drug addiction. They would give them the tools that they needed to deal with any kind of mental health problems, receive therapy. This was a wonderful program. At the flip of a switch, it was gone. And all of these 190 men, they're now homeless again. And they are going to be last served on the first come, first served list because they're men without children. You know, these shelters are overran. They're overpopulated to the point there's nowhere for people to go. There's so many people displaced in Asheville. But my point is I met so many people out there. These men just lost their living arrangement, and what was left of it was being attacked by looters. Looters were breaking into this flooded hotel, and they were robbing guys. And so every night, 5 or 6 or maybe 20 of them would stay behind at the hotel. Half of them would sleep in their cars, and then enough didn't have anywhere to sleep. Some of them were staying by. I think one night they had 20 guys staying to prevent it from getting looted. Then another night, I think they had like 12 or something. I can't remember. But I do know that they were leaving people at this flooded hotel property to prevent it from getting looted. How sad. These are homeless vets that are now re-homeless, you know, and what's left of their property is being stolen by looters. Now, y'all saw videos of when I was boots on the ground, and there were all of these crazy markings on trailers, on cars, on everything. I thought that it was looters because it's this bright color and it looks like graffiti, and I'm just simple-minded sometimes. So you guys told me, no, that is from rescue operators. That is people that have went in, searched the property. I think one of you ladies said that it has the date that the home was searched. It has, like, if they found any bodies, what team found them. And then it's all of these markings. It's like a cross with a circle, and then it has dates and times and all of this stuff on there. And I do think that that is definitely rescue operations. Now, was it the National Guard? I don't know. Was it FEMA? Probably not. But I thought that it was from looters. It was not. It was probably from search and rescue operations, like you guys said. I trust your personal opinions. But just know that looting is now a huge problem for any, all of the people that evacuated. Their homes are getting looted right now. It's crazy. It's a shit show. So it says, going back, this is why I'm talking about it, because it says the Washington County Sheriff's Office says deputies continue to patrol the region. That's bullshit. That's bullcrap. If you call them because your home is getting looted, there is nobody to come help you at them. And I can promise you that no sheriffs are out patrolling the region, making sure your home is not getting looted. Now, the fact that they even arrested these guys, I commend them for that. Thank you for doing your job, because you could have just gave them a slap on the wrist and sent them on their way. And it says, according to Sheriff Sexton, deputies arrested 8 men on Saturday for looting. Authorities say each of the 8 men arrested are being held in the Washington County Detention Center on a $20,000 bond. I remember reading this now. It says they're scheduled to appear in court Monday. That would have been earlier in the week. And I just know, though, that looting has become a huge problem in the areas. There's a lot of criminals that are trying to cash in on everybody's horrible, horrible, sad day. And it's pathetic, but I would really like to know, I'm not trying to be funny, but I would love to know the immigration status of these guys. One would assume that if they don't, it didn't say anything about ICE in there. That makes it even worse. You're an American citizen acting like this? You need to be under the jail, baby. Under the jail. For a long time. It's one thing if you were born somewhere else and they taught you to behave like that, because that's how it is in a lot of countries. It's a whole different thing. You're an American citizen out here robbing other American citizens who just literally lost everything in a flood. You are the worst kind of person that there is. And they'll probably get probation, unless they're already on probation. So I guess I've actually learned a lot from this. I was not planning to do all of this. I love when things kind of happen naturally and we learn stuff together, and like it's interesting, and questions get answered through science, and I love this. It says the remnants of Hurricane Helene were not the only factor that contributed to the severity of the flooding that struck the mountain community of Asheville, North Carolina. Several conditions in the region, including a poor rain event and the topography of the land, topography, topography of the land, gave rise to deadly flash flooding. So they're saying the layout of the land, which is what I said, there's mountains, and then got like these gullies, these hollers, and those are going to fill up with water, and it's nowhere for it to go. If you have the mountain range, it just becomes a fishbowl. And it's to think that this happened, that it could happen. I didn't even know that was possible. Wow, she had 140-mile winds, and it says 15-foot storm surges to parts of the Gulf Coast. It says the hurricane amplified at the far-reaching impacts that a storm can only... Hold on. It says the hurricane amplified the far-reaching impacts that a storm can have not only... I don't understand this. I'm sorry. I'm getting frustrated. The hurricane exemplified the far-reaching impacts that a storm can have not only along the coast. Does that even make sense to you guys? But hundreds of miles inland. Me no understand. Yes, great question, Pora, that's a pretty name. It's 232 so far, and most of those deaths have been in North Carolina. Over half of them. So it says, following landfall, Helene tracked north, causing reported tornadoes in 5 states and dumping over 30 inches of rain in parts of North Carolina over a span of a few days. This is what it looked like when I walked down the streets and I was filming for you guys. This is what it looks like. Imagine walking through that and being able to see through these buildings that no longer have windows and doors. And I mean, it's one thing to see it like this. It's a whole different thing to be down there on the ground, walking through that mud, smelling it. It stinks. You know, stinks? I just found out why it stinks last night laying in bed. The bodies. Swannanoa smells like a porta potty. Okay, it does. It smells like human fecal matter just walking. Now, I have no doubt that some of that is waste, but someone else pointed out that it could be decay from wildlife, from humans, from multiple sources. That's scary to think about. And I will tell you, when I was crossing over rivers, when I was walking to film things, I was not looking through debris because I was scared of what I would see. And when I walked through Black Mountain, there used to be a little gas station at the corner. There's a whole river that goes down from Swannanoa to Black Mountain. You can cross over that river and be on the inside of Black Mountain. When I was out there, the whole streams are full. I'm talking, there was even airplane. There was parts of an airplane there in the middle of the river. I mean, everything you can think of, anything. Vending machines, car tires, whole cars. Yo, I was scared what I was going to see when I was filming. In the Asheville region had already received tons of rain in the days leading up to Helene, with more than a foot of rainfall in some spots, according to the North Carolina State Climate Office. As a result, the soil was saturated and rivers and streams filled to the brim time Helene passed over the area. So it turned into a big ocean. Once the French Broad River, which flows through Asheville, and its subsidiaries overflowed, the water rushed into nearby neighborhoods within minutes. While the phenomenon does not happen often, it has happened before in the region. A similar event occurred in Asheville when it was then known as the Great Flood of 1916, in which 80 people died. Look at this. I've seen this. I saw this. I know exactly where that's at. It's crazy. So like I said, everything that was in the river, once that river filled up and washed out into the cities, everything that was on the streets is now in the river, and everything that was in the river is now on the streets. Because the river became the streets, and the river became the streets, and the streets was the river. You know what I'm saying? This bridge was overflowed with water. Like, you couldn't even tell there was a bridge there. What is going on? I look away for 2 seconds. Two seconds. Hello, hello. I really need to finish school, you know what I mean? I'm too smart to be damn... Like, being able... I could tell immediately once I got boots on the ground. As soon as I pulled up and I drove through Asheville coming in. Now, what I did was I went through Asheboro, and then I cut off take highways on my maps, and then it took me through the mountains up this dangerous trek through the way. But I figured that would be, at that point, it's been 2 days. So everybody that has chainsaws has already cleared the parkway so that we can get through the parkway. Do you see what I'm saying? Even though the news said there was no roads in or out, I knew good old boys would have the parkway cleared. I knew that would be the first thing, because they have to be able to get in to help everybody. So even though the media was reporting that no roads in or out, I found my roads in or out. And matter of fact, half of the way in, last in, when I was going through the parkway, I had no cell service. So I had actually took screenshots and had to figure it out without any directions. I'm literally reading roads, trying to find my way around. And there was 2 times that I came, and one of which was a whole bridge that had debris on it. You couldn't get over it. I had to turn around, backtrack about 10 or 12 miles a different way and find a side road. Y'all, it was crazy. Also, in my opinion, everybody needs food and water there. Like everybody, families, everybody needs food and water, because what is happening is there are still families that don't have cars. Their cars were ruined. They don't have an aid to get to a distribution center that is giving away free meals and free waters. I told you guys, I took pack after pack of water, and anytime I saw somebody walking or like a family was in their yard, I would stop and say, hey, do you need water? And every single time they would say yes, and I would take the pack and give it to them. I only had a pack of water on me when I got up here, but they would be handing them out at one time they were handing them out over by the Harley Davidson place in Swannanoa. There was another guy that we rolled up on and got directions from and asked questions to. He about ready to set up and hand out stuff. You would see all of these civilians that had drove down from other states that would be in random parking lots, like maybe the Goodwill parking lot. They're posted up and they got a sign that says free water. The Ingles parking lot, or no, that's not an Ingles. What store was that? It might have been an Ingles. There was a Burger King, and they were set up out there for 2 or 3 days while I was in town handing out water, but that was not FEMA, and it was not the Red Cross. These are citizens that are taking in donations off of Facebook and then distributing them themselves, you know, and that's all of the help that you have seen out there. Now, the Red Cross did have stuff set up, and they were helpful, but I talked to firemen and 2 different police officers at the Red Cross building itself the first day I got there, and they told me that there had been 0 FEMA and the National Guard presence. I talked to 5 or 6 cops in total, and all of them told me that there had been no National Guard or FEMA presence. It's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And it pisses me off, because I'm going to tell you right now, if it was this damn town, if it was my home damn town, the ones of us that were left would be in the middle of Washington fucking rioting right now. This is unbelievable. It is literally FEMA's job. That's the whole purpose. That's the whole reason that Jimmy Carter even created the program, was in case natural disasters like this, anything, terrorist attacks, anything that the American people are suffering through, they are supposed to come in and immediately make things better. It's going to be different for every situation that occurs. But at the end of the day, water, food, an attempt to getting the power on is not too much to damn when these people have been paying taxes for 20, 30, 40, 50 damn years. Some of these people that are stranded, most of the ones that are stranded, are elderly folk. I'm going to tell you, if it was my grandma up there, y'all, if it was my grandma, I better be glad that everybody is in the ground, because if it was one of my family members, I would be in jail. I would be in jail. I would be in jail. It's unbelievable. You know, in my opinion, Katrina was just getting us conditioned to never having help, in my opinion. Now, there's probably 2 or 3 disasters that happened with that before things really started to go downhill. But it seems as the years go on and these things happen a lot more, and climate change is real. It's getting hotter. Things are getting crazy out here with the weather, okay? As these things go on, it's as if every time there's another one, we just expect less and less, and we say less and less, and we bitch less and less. It's like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Bullshit. Stop paying taxes. You know what I mean? Something like we got to come up with a plan. I think that Trump wants to fix things, but one man can only do something in 4 years. And he has a lot on his plate. We got to start with immigration. That'll help with inflation. That'll help with housing. That'll help with other resources. You know, if we can start with immigration, that will take a lot of pressure, and finances can be shifted. If we stop giving money to Ukraine and everybody else and their mama, why do we even give? I didn't even know Moldova needed money. Why are we giving millions to Moldova? Everybody. Billions to Ukraine. But, you know, Moldova, I'm just like, what? That really threw me for a loop. You know, we got people in positions of power like Eric Adams, who has been lining his own pockets for years with dirty money while the citizens of New York suffer. Okay? And I have no doubt that the reason that he's a sanctuary city was to get money from the damn government, because they're all in on it. Who thinks he'll go? I don't. I'm surprised he was even indicted, to be honest. He's a piece of work, ain't he? He's a piece of work. Right up there with Fanny. Right up there with Fanny. So, I've been preparing for my case. I'm suing. I'm in the middle of a civil lawsuit. And, it's this coming week. So, no, I agree, Helen. We should have never been given support anyways. We have people on American soil that can't afford houses and gas, and hell, they get a paycheck and they got 13 cents left over after they pay all their bills, and they don't know how they're going to feed themselves for the week. We have people here that are suffering. You know, parents that can't pay for childcare, adults that can't pay for their medications, that work for 70 years, but their government has only given them a few $100s to survive on when it's $1,500 for a one damn bedroom. It's ridiculous. All of it. And none of it's my fault. I haven't voted for any of these policies. But I'm starting this year. Starting this year. Here we come, Mr. Trump. This is why, though, I will not deny that I did not give a crap about these things. I mean, I had a small interest, but not this grand. It wasn't this elaborate. Obsessive. It's to the point to where I'm obsessed. I'm like, please, somebody give me a damn job. Like, you know, like my passion is now this. Any and everything to do with the economy, crime, all. I won't deny that before the economy went to shit, I was on cloud 9, you know. I was living in a house and I had it all figured out, and, you know, I was shooting black tar, and I didn't have to worry about money. I didn't have to worry about where I was going to get my drugs from. And then COVID happened, and I decided to get clean. Like, I knew that I'd wanted to get for years. I'd been clean before. I didn't grow up around drugs or alcohol. I grew up in foster care and with a crappy family. But I did not grow up in a home that drugs and alcohol was a thing. That only become a thing. I become an adult, you know? And one of the reasons that I talk about trauma is because I understand how these things go hand in hand. And a lot of people don't recognize why they're drinking every day. A lot of people don't recognize why they feel the need to put needles in their arm. Believe it or not, a lot of people can't understand. They don't know that their upbringing has everything to do, and a lot to do, if not everything to do, with we are the way that they are in their adult life. And so these things are important to me because I feel like if somebody would have guided me in a different direction and taught me something, I was a child, that I wouldn't have ended up here. But also, when I got clean, I knew that getting clean meant that I was going to have to get people out of my life that were a detriment to me and my sobriety. So I did. And in that, I become broke. You know, getting out of stripping, getting away from my ex, also getting away from a family member that was toxic, that was using me sexually. So, you know, it was a lot that I had to get away from. And that is part of the reason that I'm poor now, because I refuse to go back to strip club and strip. It's not worth it. It's putting your life in danger. And now the industry has went to hell in a handbasket, and the girls aren't pretty anymore. So a girl like me goes in there, and then the girls are mad that I'm making money, and it causes drama. And not only that, my mere presence in that environment makes women just go crazy. I can't even put it in words. They just go crazy, y'all. With the insecurity, the low self-worth, the low self-esteem, they just lose it. I've had this happen at restaurants too. I walk in, I'm a bartender, And the girls are just so hyper fixated on me, my life, what I'm doing, who I am, you know, all of these things. They get blinded by jealousy and enraged by jealousy. Like, it's not a good look. And I see people suffering everywhere I go. Workplace is no different. It's been very hard to find a job that is worth a damn. I've filled out application after application, thousands, over 5,000. I've done so many in-person interviews, and I'm here to tell you that there's a job shortage, and there has been for over a year. And I'm not the only one going through the issue of not being able to find work. Hundreds of thousands of people are, and I know that because unemployment has spiked. So, and people are laying people off. Companies are laying people off left and right. So if you have a job, you better hold on to it, honey. Now is not the time to be branching out and trying to get a better paying job. It's just not. It's not. You're putting yourself and your finances in danger by trying to switch careers or jobs right now. I'm just here to tell you, honey. And if you think I'm lying, there's tons of financial experts here on YouTube you can go watch that'll tell you, it'll break it all down for you. Because next year, I mean, and you think about how many people have just lost their businesses and their homes and their job. You know, people of West North Carolina, they're not even working right now because there's no damn power for anybody to work. You can't work if there's no power at work. So how many people are going to be displaced and homeless because of this, number one? But also, how many jobs, companies are now out of business, and those people have to go elsewhere to find work? This is why there's a job shortage already. You know, we have more businesses going out of business, filing for Chapter 11, completely shutting down, than more businesses opening. And I think once Trump gets into office, we're going to find out the truth about those job numbers that have been rigged, because I'm here to tell you, there is a job shortage. So watch it take form after he gets in the White House. I'll throw this away. I think once he gets in office, we're going to be finding out all kinds of damn lies that they've been telling. All of it's lies. This whole administration is a joke. Embarrassment. Complete embarrassment. We're going to throw some trash away. And I got to use the bathroom too. Big old bag of trash. Thank you to Chris and Andrea. And Miss Tammy sent me $5 too. Y'all don't understand how even if it's like $5, I stopped and got $30 in gas. I don't even have a quarter of a tank. $30, quarter of a didn't even. It's crazy. Everything's so expensive. I got a Happy Meal and that's it. I mean, you know, y'all don't understand though. Even if it's like $5 here and there, that helps me out so much because my, you know, expenses are not that much now that I don't have a mortgage. And I can't wait till I get like all my Patreon and stuff like that set up. I'm gonna do that someday. I have a Cash App, Mark, and most of the time when people send me money and I go to the gas and I share those receipts, which is kind of crazy. But I do it because I'm an honest person and I want people to understand and I want people to feel comfortable. I want them to know, you know, that it can support my channel and support me in my efforts to I need to find a niche. I need to really like pick what I want this channel to be about. I mean, it's so spread out. That's part of the problem. But there's so much that I know about, you know, especially when it comes to like psychologically speaking and the development of children and the development of adults and my own personal experiences with those things, the life that I've lived, you know, and I need to, but also the news and everything that we talk about on here, the immigration issues, all of that is just like so interesting to me. Look at that. Please make it like, look. And you have to take that and half it because something's wrong with my fuel economy. I wish that I was getting that per mile, 32. That would be lovely. And I already need another freaking oil change. Ain't that crazy? Like every time I turn around, it's like, damn oil change. And I've got synthetic. They didn't tell me that when I bought the truck. They told me it was going to be more. They didn't tell me nothing. And I'll just be honest, I would never buy Chevrolet again because it's been hell. It's been absolute hell. Things are more expensive to fix. I didn't even mean to get this truck. It just happened. I mean, I'm grateful for it because it's my home. And I couldn't afford rent right now. Hell, I lost my truck. I had agreed to, what do they call it? Voluntary surrender the truck because I did not have the payment. People that don't even have cars be coming to my channel talking shit. So, I had voluntarily surrendered it because if I did not do it that way, they were going to tack on an additional $2,000 on top of the loan because I didn't pay off the loan. They were repoing the truck. But if they had to come get it, they were going to tack on an additional $2,000 to the cost of the loan that I was going to be in debt for. So I voluntarily surrendered it to someone who said that they were going to take it to the dealership to surrender it. And it wouldn't have been the dealership. It was some other location that the bank has. I don't know. So that, past the point of dropping it off, I was done with the whole situation. So anyways, freaking, I got lucky with this truck. It's over half paid off. And I've made payments, you know, and this economy is so bad. It's so bad. People don't understand how just sitting here in the AC, well, you'll go through a damn half a tank of gas a day. And you can't do that. You have to, I'm about to leave right now. I'm actually headed to a whole nother city because that's what you have to when you live out of a car. You can't stay in one place all day. You have to constantly be on the move. From the time you wake up, which by the way, you got to wake up before everybody else. You can't have your window covers up during the day because the cops will harass you. Think that you're doing drugs or something. I don't know. I don't know what they think. I just know that they don't like you to have your window covers up during the day. And if you try to, it causes problem. The community members start calling in to the cops. There's this girl out here with window covers up minding her business. And I just got to cause her problems. So I'm calling you. And I actually have multiple jobs. Oh, but here you are obsessing over me. Here you are. Oh, see how our youth is suffering, you guys? This is what I'm saying. It's really sad. Really, really sad. Yeah, the cops harass you really bad, and I'm sorry that happened to you, Maria. It literally causes a lot of homeless people PTSD. They're constantly in a state of fear because, once again, it's illegal for me to sleep out of my car. So having any interaction with the cops, and you know, me, personally, I was charged with crime that I did not commit in 2016. So I already have severe PTSD to deal with them anyway, to the point that I will start crying and shaking and throwing up just having to speak to them. So, you know, after that happens, you're scared. And then you're out here and you can't afford $1,500 rent. So you have to move into your car. And then they outlaw, they actually create law states that a homeless person, it is illegal to sleep in your car in North Carolina. So that scares you. Now, I will say the area that I'm in, for the most part, they leave me alone. you know. But that's also because I'm such a bitch. They know if they're tried, they're going to get a mouthful. They know if they got to deal with me, they going to get it. So how much of that is that, you know, I've got my own back and I'm not scared of no, and how much of that is, you know, that legally, I don't know, man. There's a lot that they can do to me legally. Just the fact that I'm a felon from 20 years ago and I have history over 5 years or over 4 years ago with drug abuse. Those two things put a target on your back anyways. Those two things put a target on your back. It doesn't matter how long you've been clean. They don't care about that. They don't even care if you're clean. Hell, they want you to be on drugs. It gives them something to do. Ain't that sad? Pretty. Oh. Mr. Clearance, in clearance, is that Nancy or, sorry, I'm nosy. You don't have to answer that. I'm trying to like it. There we go. Thank you so much, in clearance, for the sticker buy. I'm gonna get hit by a car. I'm gonna get hit by a car. Come on, Grandpa. Can y'all believe that little old man floated down the river? And him and his wife, the house flooded. They never evacuated. They're in the house up to their neck in water, and the house is floating down the middle of an intersection. There's an interview with him. I don't think I've posted the whole thing, but you can hear him talking about how they were inside and the house floated down the road. There's a short. What in the Up is going on? It's like the opposite of Up. It's like Up's horror movie. It's the opposite of Up. The old lady's still alive. They're still together. And the house floods down the road. Instead of floating in the sky, it floats down the dang river road. Horrible. And I had this feeling too. I said, I wonder if his house floated away too. Because I had already met another guy that had been looking for his house for 4 days. His house was gone. He didn't know where it was. It floated away, y'all. He had been out riding every accessible road to find his home that had floated away. He pulled into his driveway and his house was gone. He said, oh Lord, let me call the insurance company. They said, well, where's the house at? He says, I don't know. They told him he had to find his house. So he was out looking for his house. And I found him outside of his house and started talking to him. And he's like, yeah, my house floated away. He said, I've been looking for it for 3 days. I think it might have been 4 days. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm laughing because it's so horrific and I'm nervous. But, like, you know, seriously, it's not, I first got there and I drove through Asheville. It was still dark. I didn't know there was a curfew.